Story 1. For context, I'm adopted and dark-skinned, while the rest of my family is entirely composed of white people, both from my mom's and my dad's side. My younger sister 15, female, and me 24, male, are rather different. She's slightly taller than me, more aggressive and verbal. I'm more of a quiet pacifist that loves to avoid an argument if possible. Because of this, our relationship is quite unbalanced. Sometimes we love each other, sometimes we hate each other. In any case, we went to the supermarket together to buy some stuff for home. Whenever we walk together, we're often met with stares. Maybe people think that we're dating or something, I don't know. With this whole worldwide panic still going on, we had to wait in line before going inside. The workers were controlling the number of clients inside the establishment, so not everyone can stroll in like if it was nothing. It was quite hot, so the experience was unpleasant. There was this lady and her husband behind us complaining all the time about the sun, about how sweaty they were, etc. But after some time, we went in. As we were grabbing spices, we couldn't find what my mom wanted. My sister wanted to buy the same spice, but from another brand, while I wanted to call Mom and see if she wanted it or not. So we caught ourselves in a small argument, going back and forth about what we should do. And guess who appears? Yeah, that pleasant lady from before, alone this time. My sister speaks something about me being pathetic and indecisive, and makes some motions as if to shoo me away. And then, this lady decides to jump in, and the conversation goes like this. Stop. Get away from this young lady, and don't harass her. What? Can I help you, ma'am? I saw you trying to harass this girl. Ever since the line, I knew you were up to something. Lady, this guy's my brother. He's not harassing me or anything. Don't worry, sweetie. I won't let this guy steal from you or sexually harass you. We both know guys like him always do that sort of stuff. And she started by pulling the racial card on me. As much as I could have gotten offended, losing my time with this lady was not optimal. Ma'am, this girl is my younger sister. We came here together. Don't you dare try to lie your way out of this. You're not siblings, that's impossible. Lady, he's my brother. Who are you to say who he is to me or not? Please mind your own business and leave us alone. I didn't do anything. Huh. We'll see about that. She left in a hurry, and we thought it was over. I started to call Mom to talk about the spices. Then, this lady comes back with a manager. There he is. He's harassing that young lady and forcing her to call him her brother. Young lady, is this true? No, he's literally my brother. We came here to buy some stuff, and this lady's harassing us. That's a lie. You're too different to be siblings. I don't believe in this garbage. Sir, I'll have to ask you to leave if you keep harassing this young lady. Well, I'd gladly do it, sir, but I can prove we're siblings. He's bluffing. He can't do that at all. Then please check out our IDs and you'll see if I really am. Then, I took out my ID and my sister took out hers. I gave both of them to the manager who started to check out our names and the other information, such as our affiliation to our parents. The lady also tried to check along with the manager. He then gave them back to us and immediately apologized. After checking them, your surnames and affiliation are the same. I'm sorry for the disturbance we've caused. It's nothing, sir. If anything, that woman's at fault for causing this scene. I just made a tiny mistake. No hard feelings to be held. Well, aside from the fact that you're a racist old hag that doesn't have anything better to do, sure. What? And here I thought you were a lady, you little ungrateful. Lady, turn away and don't finish that sentence unless you wish to be sued in court for racism. Fine, I was done here anyways. And then she leaves in a hurry. The manager apologizes again and then leaves too. We kept shopping and then we went back home. We still have this story on our minds and it cracks us up whenever we bring it up. Story 2. A couple of days ago, I told my eldest brother, Mark, and by extension, his wife, Julie, to take a hike after Mark unleashed a storm of angry text about my adopted daughter. For background, my daughter Vivi may not be biologically mine, but she is my daughter in every way that matters. I've known her since she was a baby, and I've been her mother ever since. I married her father when she was too young to remember much, and I legally adopted her. She has only ever called me Mama. When my husband passed away, it became just me and her, our little duo against the world. Recently, Vivi didn't start a fight, but she certainly finished one with a classmate who had been bullying her for far too long. The full story is on my account if you want all the details, but in short, she ended up defending herself physically. The bully has since been expelled. My daughter was not punished at home. In fact, I told her that I was proud of her for standing up for herself. That's when my brother, who has the nerve of a cracked sidewalk, decided to lose his temper. Mark never liked my late husband, and even less so our daughter. He's always had something rude to say about them. But this time, he went on a tirade claiming that Vivi will grow up to be a criminal, that I'm encouraging violence, and that the next time someone hurts her feelings, she'll think it's okay to start a fight. Julie added her concerns, claiming that single-parent households raise angry and emotionally bottled-up children who are far more likely to end up in jail. I reminded them that I never asked for their opinions, and thankfully, the rest of my siblings agreed with me. But Mark wasn't done. He went on to text me awful things about my daughter. His stepson even sent videos and screenshots of Mark calling her a stray kitten, which seems to be his favorite insult, along with remarks insisting she isn't really my child. That was it. I uninvited him to my 4th of July barbecue. I told him he was not allowed to speak to or even look at my daughter until he corrected his behavior. Instead of apologizing, he doubled down. Let me make something clear. Mark is the eldest, but he's also adopted. He's biologically my cousin. 2 of his 4 children are stepchildren. Julie herself is a widow. The hypocrisy is absolutely astonishing. So I had Vivi send over all the evidence she had and delete it from her phone. I saved all my screenshots and sent everything to my mother. I told on him without holding anything back. I don't have time for this kind of nonsense. I don't know what my mom said to him, but she called me back that night a few hours later and told me to let her know if he acts up again. She spoke to Vivi on speakerphone while I was finishing up some bedtime treats, telling her she loves her very much, and that if Mark or Julie tries to bother either of us again, Vivi should tell her right away. It rained like crazy on the 4th, so my barbecue was small, just a few nearby family members and friends. Vivi was having a great time, beating her uncles at Mario Kart while the adults relaxed, danced, or watched the rain from the porch. Then who walks in? Mark, Julie, their 4 children. Julie walked right up to me holding a whole chicken and asked where she could set it down. I just stared and asked, "Sorry, what?" I wanted to know why they were there. Apparently, my lovely brother didn't tell her about our most recent conflict or the fact that their invitation had been revoked. She looked completely shocked. At this point, I was furious. But the kids were playing video games and Vivi looked genuinely happy. She was purposefully ignoring Mark. When he greeted her and she didn't reply, he threw his hands up and said, "So much for manners." My other brother, Zeke, walked over and began speaking to Mark quietly. I could hear Mark arguing, but Zeke calmly kept his hand on his shoulder. I looked at Julie, who seemed to be in full-blown panic mode, trying to smooth things over. I told her that if they wanted to leave the kids at the party for a couple of hours, that was fine. But Mark himself was not welcome in my home, and she would have to be the one to come back and pick them up. She thanked me and went over to where both our other brothers were now speaking to Mark. They escorted him out. I heard him say, "Kids, let's go." But Julie turned to them and said, Kids, I'll be back by 3. Be good," and pulled Mark out of the house. I followed up with a text reminding Mark not to speak to my daughter and that he is not welcome in my home until he apologizes for the things he said about her and changes his attitude. My stepfather and mom arrived not long after. When my stepdad heard what had happened, he took his pipe out to the porch and sat right next to the front door like a watchful guardian. Mom coordinated with Julie to take the kids home later, and we managed to enjoy the rest of the evening. Today is Sunday. My mom had asked us all to attend church this week, and we did. She warned me in advance that Mark might be there. I gave Vivi a heads up. She said it was fine. I told my mom it was fine too, but made it clear that Mark needed to give Vivi plenty of space. I also texted Mark directly, telling him he was to stay away from my daughter. He responded, "I don't need reminders." All right then. The service went well. I'm not much of a churchgoer, but Vivi had a solo and sang beautifully, so this mama's heart was full. Afterward, there was food and socializing in the event hall. Vivi asked if she could stay and chat with her friends. Of course, I told her to go ahead and have fun. Everything was peaceful for about 45 minutes. I was sitting with my stepdad and one of my brothers when Mark walked over to say his goodbyes. He gave hugs to everyone at the table except me. That was perfectly fine by me. Then he said, "Kitty did a good job up there." I replied, "Who?" At that moment, you could see on his face that he realized he had made a mistake. I'm not sure if he meant to say Kitty or not, and honestly, I don't care. I asked again, "Who?" He mumbled, "Vivica." I nodded and replied, "That's her name. The same name she's had the whole time." Julie was trying to get him to leave, and he was nearly out the door when Vivi and her friends walked up. She later told me she saw her uncle come over and noticed he didn't hug me, which upset her, so she came over to offer support with her friends by her side. I told her afterward that I'm a grown woman and don't need her to come to my defense, that it's my job to protect her, not the other way around. Her only response was a small nod. Kids. Mark complimented Vivi again, and she replied with a simple thanks. Then she turned to me and asked if I was ready to go. I told her yes, if she was. A short time later, I received a text from Mark claiming I had embarrassed him and the entire family with the show I had put on. He was upset, saying that church isn't the place to make our issues public and that I don't even regularly attend church, so I had no business invading his safe spaces. He called me immature and said I should stay away from his kids so I don't teach them bad manners. I haven't responded. Vivi and I are getting ready to go to my mom's for lunch. Stepdad told me Mark outright refused to come after hearing I'd be there. He told our parents that if I'm somewhere, he won't be. My response? Does he promise? I told my dad that if Mark wants to act like this, we can go completely no contact. I don't have the patience for this kind of drama anymore, and I also won't be helping out next time he needs anything. I'm done. Dad got quiet for a moment and said he understands, but asked me to remember that Mark's children have done nothing wrong. He said it's okay if I want to draw boundaries with Mark, but asked that I don't take it out on the kids by accident. I told him we'd talk more when we got there. He's likely going to bring up the family vacation we've planned. I handled the hotel bookings and park passes because my job is in that industry, so I'm usually the go-to for organizing these things. We're supposed to go during the first week of August. We try to do one extended family trip per year. But if Mark can't even show basic respect to me or my daughter, I'm not going to bend over backward to include him. Not anymore. Story 3. Karen pulls a knife on me in a toy store. My sister is a Marshal and was with me. This story dates back a bit, to when I was about 6 weeks shy of 21. For reference, my family is a bit scattered age-wise. I have 2 older half-sisters, same father, different mother, who are 12 and 10 years older than me, and 2 younger half-brothers, same mother, different father, who are 7 and 11 years younger than me. At the time, I lived on my own as my parents had both passed away and I had gotten a subsidized apartment. Note, still have the subsidy. I'm on my 3rd apartment since this story. Massachusetts is expensive to live in, and there is no way in hell a retail worker can afford to live alone here without some form of assistance. So my brother's 10th birthday was coming up, and my older sister was in town visiting her mom. My sister is a U.S. Marshal who was working out of San Francisco at the time. She offered to take me out to the nearby toy store to shop for a present for my brother after I got off work at Store X, unsafely confined to New England holiday-themed bargain stores at the time. My store's dress code for us peons, at least at the time, was pretty much whatever was non-offensive for a shirt, pants or shorts, close-toed shoes, and a green apron smock with a store logo on it. So, at the blessed time of 4 p.m., my sister picks me up. We go over to Toy Store, and we split up, me going for the video games to get a Game Boy game I knew my brother would want, my sister going over to the bikes as his old one had been destroyed by an idiot bus driver. Thankfully, while my brother was not on it, our other brother was also with us, as my sister had picked him up at the rink near his high school after he finished hockey practice, and he came along with me. After locating the game, getting the employee there, who I was dating at the time, to get it out of the locked case for me and I pay, I started chatting with my significant other and asking about our upcoming date night. After a few minutes, another customer comes over. My brother and I start to walk to the front, and as we pass the display of Xbox, of which he had just gotten one for Christmas, and I had one as well, and we were both early adopters of Xbox Live, I hear the mating call of the wild Karen. Karen, excuse me. I ignore this as I'm not wearing the uniform of any store. I had left my apron in my sister's rental car and keep walking. Aren't you going to help me, you fat brat? I'm a large guy, 6 foot 1 inch, and at the time around 300 pounds. I've battled with depression since my mother died when I was 11, and I have a habit of eating to cope. My weight and depression, along with my poor eyesight, conspired to keep me out of the Coast Guard when I tried to enlist on 01. Me. I don't work here. Of course you do. I see you here all the time talking with that thing by the Nintendos. Me. Ma'am, that's my girlfriend. Kay, where are you taking this boy? Pointing to my brother. Me? That's my brother. I sense this is starting to get ugly, so I turn to my brother and quietly, but firmly, say, go find our sister. Now. He literally runs. He knows that when I get quiet, this means stuff may go down. Hulk mode stage 1 has arrived. Karen starts walking towards me menacingly, and I start backing up, not realizing she is backing me into a corner. I realize I am literally backed into a corner with this crazy Karen in front of me, and I have no escape. Hulk mode stage 2 kicks in. Me. Leave me the hell alone. That's when it happens. I see the knife in her hand. I still have the box cutter from work in my pocket, but it will do nothing in this case except maybe scratch this crazy witch. Hulk mode stage 3 imminent. All hands to battle stations. This is not a drill. But then, the next thing everyone in the store, and maybe even several people in the parking lot, hears, Federal agent, drop the weapon. 3 things happen in the next second. Karen and I turn to see my sister pointing her gun at Karen. Karen drops the knife on the floor, and her bladder evacuates, leaving a bright yellow puddle on the floor. My girlfriend and my brother appear on the scene, followed shortly after by the store manager and the police officer. Before I could fully process what had just happened, Karen is in handcuffs and has resumed screaming all sorts of vile offensive things, and my sister is asking me if I am all right. I just collapse as the adrenaline stops, smacking my head on a shelf. I wake up 10 minutes later to a paramedic taking my vitals, my girlfriend, sister, and brother looking at me with worried looks on their faces, and the absence of banshee-like rantings from Karen. Aftermath. I wound up spending the night in the hospital. I had a concussion, a hairline skull fracture, and a nasty cut from hitting the shelf. Still live alone, but I've dealt with some of my depression issues to the point I can now work full-time. My brother is now a major and in the Air National Guard and has a lovely wife and 5-year-old triplets. My other brother, who we were buying presents for, is an FBI agent, and he just announced his engagement. My Marshal sister is still with the Marshal service, mostly handling administrative tasks these days. My other sister is still the quietest of the family. My girlfriend and I split up a year later. We're still friends, and she is now married with 3 adopted kids and is managing a big blue electronics store. Karen is still in prison. She was initially sentenced to 2 years in prison plus 5 years of probation, attempted assault with a dangerous weapon plus hate crime enhancements, but apparently got into a fight that nearly killed another inmate, so she ended up getting another 15 to 25 added to her sentence, and was recently denied parole for the second time. Story 4. A little bit of backstory. I met my boyfriend at a party during June 2020, before my country went into lockdown. Over the lockdown, we started to get to know each other over text, and during the second to last week of lockdown, he asked me to watch a movie at a teen movie theater. They play movies teens and younger adults like, so I said yes. We have been happy for 7 months, but on to today. During the new year, my step-aunt invited me to go camping. I wanted to say no, but my mom said I had to since I've had social issues and she wanted to help. So at least 2 days beforehand, I texted my boyfriend and told him what's happening. He knows I get homesick and did the sweetest thing and recorded audio for when I needed comfort or when I had a nightmare, since he knows how bad my nightmares can be, and he didn't want me wasting phone credit on calling him at night. The day we left to go camping, I texted him quickly before getting in the car. The step-cousin, who's the same age as me, asked, "Who are you texting, and why are they so important than your family?" I slightly rolled my eyes and replied, "Oh, my boyfriend. I was just texting him quickly so he knows I'm okay." Her eyes suddenly widened, and then she tried to grab my phone. She was yelling for her mom, telling her that my boyfriend is still with me. My stepdad. In another post, I put I had family issues, but we're all good now, and I moved back, grabbed my step-cousin, and sat her in the car. He's a big buff dude, and I owe him a lot. He told my step-cousin to respect my choices, and also to respect my boyfriend. My step-cousin and step-aunt huffed as I got into the car and wanted to zone out. When we set up camp, I find out about disco that night and anyone can go. I texted my boyfriend asking if he can go, and he was excited since he could use glow-in-the-dark face paint during the night. Later, when we ate dinner, my step-aunt found my sketchbook of all my art and looked through it, saying my art looked horrible, even though I learned from my sisters, my sister-in-law, and my art teacher who spent time getting me to where I am. I grabbed my sketchbook and hid it in my tent so she couldn't get it. That night, when the disco started, my boyfriend showed up with the glow-in-the-dark face paint, and my step-cousin suddenly yelled, "OMG, it's her boyfriend." My boyfriend looked at me with wide eyes, and I went to my protection mode and yelled back, "What's wrong with you? Can't you respect the fact I'm in love?" And then she yelled something the whole disco heard over the startup music that made everyone look at her in disgust. She yelled, "How come you get a boyfriend and I don't? You should break up with him and then wait for me to date someone." The whole night my boyfriend and I, after doing our face paint, stayed at the back as the music and fireworks went off. My boyfriend texted my mom and stepdad, and they helped me pack up my tent and gear in the middle of the night, and they said he could stay over at our house while we calmed down. Well, after New Year's Day, on the 2nd day of January, my family was holding a gathering. My family, my sister-in-law's family, my extended family, not my step-aunt and step-cousin, I'll explain later, and my boyfriend's family were all there. Later on, my nice step-aunt told me that she's not their sister, but their stepsister, since their dad married 2 other women. Later, the step-aunt and her brat of a teen walk in uninvited with my dad in tow. My dad and the females of my family don't have a great relationship, and you'll see why. But my step-aunt yelled out, "Everyone meet my boyfriend." My 3 sisters, my mom, and me looked at each other and froze. My stepdad went big bear mode, and my boyfriend was going full protective mode. They ruined everything. My step-cousin kicked my cat for not letting him pet her. My dad verbally abused every female there, even if he didn't know them, and my step-aunt went into my room and ripped down all the art I had on the walls. She even drew over my sunset art on the wall my sister-in-law painted while I was away on a school camp. My stepdad kicked all 3 of them out, and my boyfriend's family made sure we were all okay since they were anxious about my older sister's mental health. She has panic attacks, and one of them was a co-worker at the therapy office she goes to. When everyone was getting ready to leave, my boyfriend's caregivers told me I was allowed to stay over any time. I thanked them, and when my boyfriend and his family left, my sister-in-law's family told my sister, my sister-in-law's wife, that she was blessed with such a great stepdad. When everyone left, my family all had a family meeting and blocked my step-aunt on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and even blocked her contact. We all agreed that we needed to cut my dad out since we were all hurt by the verbal abuse. My nice step-aunt filed a police report, and that was the end. Story 5. Here we are, back again with another tale about my mom pre-divorce. This occurred in 2015. They say it's hard to buy presents for your parents as a teenager, and specifically for your father, and it's true. We generally have a hard time knowing what our parents would like that we could afford. Add some entitlement to the mix, and you better not only know what they want, be able to get it, and do it all while having your life managed and snooped on by said entitled parent, which ruins the experience. When I was too small to be able to get anything myself, Dad used to help me out by pointing out things that might be appreciated. As I grew up, I tried to figure this out myself and found out what a minefield it was without his guidance. One year, when I thought getting her an aromatic mulled wine, her favorite scent at the time, Candle from Illuminations, was received with lukewarm apathy as a thoughtless gift for Christmas. I then tried a gift card that could be used almost anywhere for her next birthday. You'd think I insulted her personally with a gift card, so that was a never-again experience. Through high school and into adulthood, I watched her purchases like a hawk, trying to predict a need that might pass for a gift at the appropriate times of the year, and pray to the heartless gods of narcissism that she didn't get it herself before then. With ADHD, this was mentally and physically exhausting and served as a source to my anxiety and depression. Every gifting holiday was nothing but anxiety for me, as I prayed she'd mean it when she said she liked something, that she actually meant it this time, and I wouldn't see it in the trash weeks later or on my dresser for unknown reasons. Throughout the years, Mom maintained that she would be fine with any kind of gift, but I knew better, as when I discovered she threw out a gift that she claimed to like, Mom made up an excuse of it being tacky or low quality or some other dribble as to why 2 weeks later she didn't want it. Sometimes it was over things as petty as not agreeing with her during a conversation when my opinion differs. So one Christmas, we were at a month-long festival in December, and Mom had been searching for a year to have Larimer earrings that matched a necklace she got at a jewelry roadshow, and she had no luck. At this public event, I saw a lapidary booth that actually had earrings, in a style I knew Mom would like, and with the same stone and a matching necklace that closed magnetically. I was pleased and got both thinking Mom might like a necklace whose clasp wouldn't grab the hair on the back of her neck and pull. On Christmas Eve, Mom seemed pleased with the earrings and dispassionate about the necklace, though she put both on, but she was much happier with the coral and turquoise necklace that my brother Donald got her, that I know he didn't pay for or pick, since Mom and or Dad always had to hurt him towards buying anything that wasn't food or video games. We ended the night watching some movie. I mostly forget except for the part that Mom tried to encourage discussion on. The protagonist was a woman who survived childhood trauma, as you find out nearly at the end of the movie, and suddenly, as a successful businesswoman, her parents were coming back and began saying that the woman owed them money. Halfway through, Mom insisted the protagonist was an awful person who never supported her mother in anything and clearly had behavior issues connecting to others, and deserved to have legal action taken against her. As per her usual with real or perceived mental issues people had, Mom insisted that the protagonist needed to take pills and get over herself. This transitioned into a quick rant about Dad, which I ignored in favor of watching a movie I had no desire to see, as it put me entirely too close to Mom, and she always tried to instigate debates about the movie while watching so that you couldn't actually enjoy it. This is where the revelation about childhood trauma came in, and I responded to Mom pointing out that the protagonist didn't deserve to be crapped on by her parents, as they clearly didn't care if they nearly killed the female lead multiple times as she grew up, and that all they wanted was money, and to continue mistreating her as an adult. Mom tried to get Donald involved, who said rudely that he didn't care, and he didn't even want to see this movie, but was so that Mom wouldn't cut off his internet for the night. His words exactly. Spoiler, he got his wish. Only my room hand internet cut. I was happy when the movie was over and went to bed, while my brother threw down some online game, which I heard through our shared bedroom wall. Next morning, I'm startled awake as Mom threw my bedroom door open, and it rebounded off the wall. I was dazed and confused as I heard something being thrown onto my dresser and Mom snarling that she didn't want it. To be honest, I just went back to sleep as she burst in at 5 in the morning. Another booming thump in the house and Mom drives off. She did this every single time someone disagreed with her and refused to be the loser. Dad came to check on me, and I managed to wake up enough to hold a small conversation. Dad, that's the jewelry you got your mom. Me. Is it? I sat up in bed to try and see jewelry on the dresser next to my pile of gifts from the day before. He picked up the $90 pile of jewelry so I could see it better. I'm in my sleep-deprived state. I did a fair impression of the iconic Minecraft villager. Least she didn't throw it out this time. That wasn't cheap. Dad set it down again and hadn't come in any farther than the bedroom door, and there was an awkward silence. The house was quiet, and the dog wandered in to leap onto the bed for cuddles. He took a breath and asked if he could come in. Of my parents, he's the only one that respected my only personal space in the house. Turns out Mom had stewed on the fact that I disagreed with her about the female lead in last night's movie deserving all the horrible things that happened until the revelation that somehow the victim of childhood trauma, who was being stalked by her elderly parents for not being a doormat, deserved what she got for being a rotten child and teenager according to Mom's narrative. I told Dad that I pointed out that the parents were awful and the lead well deserved to have her parents serve their time in the justice system for their crimes against children. Dad was aware of what the movie was about and was surprised Mom had picked it, given that she had childhood trauma of a different kind, so this movie probably triggered her, but that it still wasn't all right for her to return my gift over a disagreement. On that day, I refused to get my mom anything over $10 because I put some real thought into this gift. I wanted it to be something she treasured the way she treasured my brother's gifts. She had chosen to watch a movie that was bad for her, with a half-baked notion that I would miraculously and blindly agree with her that parents are always right and get to do whatever they want. We hit the scene that flips the entire narrative to that point, and she gets triggered, and I point out that in fact parents aren't right, and in cases like this the pushback is deserved. Being petty was more important to her than admitting she was wrong. It's been years and I still have that necklace and earrings. I keep them as a reminder to never spend extravagantly on that woman. The necklace is chunky and not my style, but I've taken to wearing the earrings. Edit. Sorry, I can't remember what the movie was called other than the actress was talented and modestly pretty, and I hated the whole thing because my mom was trying to push her agenda during it. My mom never regrets having the daycare, but of course regrets having that one kid.